Yesterday, Cardinal Roche was created a cardinal by Pope Francis. And Christopher Lamb, he is the correspondent for the Tablet. He was in Rome and he had an interview with Cardinal Roche. And Cardinal Roche said that on the liturgy, some are stubbornly opposing what the Church has actually decreed. And that's a very serious matter. In the end, people have to ask themselves, am I really a Catholic or am I more a Protestant? And he said he was speaking about the resistance to Second Vatican Council's reform of the liturgy and said that if someone rejects the legislation of a council, you are putting yourself sideways towards the edges of the Church. You are becoming more Protestant than Catholic. And this is all because of Shia LaBeouf. When asked about Shia LaBeouf's remarks about the superiority of the Latin Mass, the Holy See's liturgy prefect said, "I'd like to know why he thinks that," and stressed that the Mass should always be celebrated with great dignity. Yeah. Roche added that the old rite is still available. Like in Chicago, it's still available at the Institute of Christ the King. You remember, it's still available there. It's a good thing that the Cardinal has clarified that so that we can get the church back open, the Institute of Christ the King in Chicago. He said the old rite is still available, like in Chicago, and that the Mass in Latin in the new rite should be more readily available. I do laugh at some of this. I'm sincerely, I'm sorry if I'm laughing. I'm struggling here sometimes, guys. I'm struggling. Okay. Where to start? If you read what Martin Bucer and Thomas Cranmer did, Martin Bucer made sure that the whole theology around substantiation was deconstructed. How we receive the Eucharist, the priesthood, everything. And Cranmer followed that. Protestants deconstructed the sacramental life of Catholicism. And in doing so, they deconstructed the church into God knows how many myriads of Protestant sects. That is what happened in Protestantism. Us traditional Catholics, to be very, very clear, we are not Protestant and never be Protestant. We want to be Catholics. And we're looking for leadership in the Catholic Church that will rally traditional Catholics. I can't explain, like Shia LaBeouf, what is going on in the Mass, in traditional Latin Mass. But what is there, I can't encounter in the Novus Ordo. It is not there for me. And I have gone to Novus Ordo in Latin for 8 years. I've stood in front of St. John Paul II in the Vatican, served Mass with him in the Novus Ordo in Latin. I love that Mass. But for whatever reason, the experience I've had at the Eucharist, I could only have arrived at that experience, that encounter, that unit of, I don't know, it has helped my prayer life. I could only arrive there with traditional Latin Mass. We have lost something profoundly sacred in the traditional Latin Mass. So that's my lived experience, and there are thousands, I would say millions of Catholics like me that have gone to traditional Latin Mass, been challenged on our prayer life, on our encounter with Christ, on the Eucharist. And I wish Cardinal Roche would do one thing for me. Celebrate 100 TLMs in the Vatican silently for 100 days. Do that experiment, Cardinal Roche. If your interior life, if your prayer life, if those masses is grown, then maybe that you will see what we're seeing. Because I honestly think leadership at the moment, cardinals, are blind to us who are standing at the cross like St. John. You come and see what we are seeing at the foot of Calvary in the traditional Latin Mass. It's not about being superior. As I said in my previous video, I'm no different than anybody else. We're no different Catholics than anybody else. We're not. It's just the profound encounter of Christ in the traditional Latin Mass is earth-shattering. It moves some of us to the core. And maybe it's our example that's bringing others to encounter that. And that is fortifying grace. That is helping the church. I wish we had a cardinal that would come out and thank Catholics who went to traditional Latin Mass, who would be fathers of the faith to us. There's never a good word from Rome about what we love. That's the saddest thing. I mean, there's never, oh yes, it's still available. Like, Cardinal Roche, please. You saw what happened in Chicago. You saw how many dioceses reducing and cutting back and killing off what we hold dear. You've seen it. So don't come out with these phrases, it's still available. Yeah, it's still available to me, but I have to travel. I have to do a 4-hour round trip to go to Mass if I want to go to traditional Latin Mass. Today I went to Novus Ordo here where I live, and it was like a memorial service, like a secular memorial service in many ways. And the priest couldn't even say the consecration as approved by the bishops of Ireland. He had to make it up himself. Now, I'm not criticizing this priest. It was just bad formation. And, these priests will be gone in a couple of years. You have to live with it. But he couldn't read the consecration as translated. It's simply it. He made up his own version. Or he used a version that's no longer approved in the English translation. That's fine. We wonder why we've destroyed the graces. We've completely, in the Novus Ordo, we've completely destroyed practically the sacramental life of the Catholic faith. I mean, I hope someday, and I pray for Cardinal Roche, I hope someday that there will be a leader in Rome that will be a father of the faith again, and bring all the children that love the Catholic faith together and encourage them. Yeah, I mean, I hope someday that there will be a pope that will encourage Catholics going to the Society of St. Pius X. They are some of the finest Catholics I know. I don't care what anybody thinks. They are friends. I don't understand what's going on. It's something is simply not right. It doesn't make sense, and we can all see this in the church. I mean, Catholics going to the Novus Ordo know something is not working. It's not right. And we're not rejecting Second Vatican Council. We just know that it's not right. I don't care what anybody says about my experience in the traditional Latin Mass. I found it profoundly moving. It's the cosmic drama of Calvary in the traditional Latin Mass. It's like the Novus Ordo was just leading us to about 20 meters of the cross. And the traditional Latin Mass got us the last 20 meters to actually stand at the foot of the cross. That's how it feels in practice. Yeah, that would be. I can see Calvary, but the traditional Latin Mass is like walking up to Christ at Calvary and putting your hand on his heart, beating heart. It just enhances what St. John saw at Calvary. And it's a mystical experience I cannot explain. So so when people say superiority, it's very hard to use another word for it because it is superior. I know, and people will hate me sometimes for saying this. Friends of mine, they go to the Novus Ordo. You might, please don't think that I think any less of anybody that has their experience of Christ in the Mass. I just speak from the heart. I'm just speaking from experience. The Novus Ordo will get you about 20 meters to the cross. And traditional Latin Mass will get you the final 20 meters. It'll bring you to the actual foot of the cross. It just does. It just brings it all forward. And we have to say this with humility and love and compassion. And, we're no better Catholics than anybody else. It's just that yearning for Christ is just too profound. And then when you've studied the foot of the cross, and then you have St. Peter that's that's ran away, that's a bit afraid of us because we're standing there. And he hasn't seen it. He hasn't seen what we've seen. St. Peter actually didn't, as far as we are aware, he didn't actually see Christ dying on the cross. St. John did. And yet he led the church afterwards. You know, the Holy Spirit, we all know what happened, came afterwards. I hope the church, I hope St. Peter, I hope Pope Francis isn't making the same mistake as St. Peter, in not being brave enough to stand with us at the foot of the cross, in what we find most precious and divine, which is the sacrifice of the Mass of Calvary. And maybe someday some Pope will understand us a little bit better and call us, you know, true Catholic sons of the Church. We're not enemies. I would never become Protestant. You know, I love the Church. So does many other Catholics I know. We are, even though we don't hear it from our Holy Father, even though traditional Catholics don't hear it from the Holy Father, because we've been kind of banished away now. That's fine. We'll remain. We're only 5,000 left in Ireland anyway. But that's not bad. 5,000 Catholics that would go to traditional Latin Mass if we were allowed to go. But sure, look, someday some spiritual father will understand we weren't hating the Church. And I'm not rejecting Second Vatican Council or Sacrosanctum Concilium. Do you know? Anyway, God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.
If then when the doors are shut thou drawest near, only reveal those hands, that side of thine. We know today what wounds are. Have no fear. Show us thy scars. We know the countersign. The other gods were strong, but thou wast weak. They rode, but thou didst stumble to a throne. But to our wounds, only God's wounds can speak.